Do you enjoy or are you intrigued by open world games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or even video games like Skyrim? Or are you simply someone who wants the freedom to explore a different universe and engage in a thematically rich story? Well, in this video we're going to be putting on our tights and hide out like some sort of creep in Sherwood Forest as we take a look at this board game, The Adventures of Robin Hood, and see how it innovates on that open world nature and translates it into an amazing tabletop experience. Now, where's my bow and arrow? Psst, hey. Come over here. Give me all your cash. Seriously, dude, I've got nothing. Well, it's an expensive hobby, you know. The Adventures of Robin Hood is not your typical board game. Most big box board games have long rulebooks that almost requires its players to have a law degree to understand them, whilst other big box board games often have a multitude of small, fine moving components enough to make an engineer quit their day job. Robin Hood is a different kind of game. It does things differently. In fact, it has no rulebook at all that players need to read. There's no complex setup, but what it does is it hooks you in with its lore, and it throws players straight into the storybook to help them dive straight into the first chapter without having to do any prior reading, which is probably enough to please any postgraduate student who still has nightmares about their overdue college assignments. Robin Hood is a fully cooperative, campaign-driven game which has players traversing across 9 different connected story-driven chapters, with each chapter teaching you how to play the game as you go, like some sort of RPG video game tutorial. If what you've heard has intrigued you already, you better strap in tight, because Maid Marian has just raided the Duke's carriage with a bow and arrow, and she's about to lift the lid on this game and unveil some of the amazing innovations that this game has to offer. The game board in Robin Hood is reminiscent of a Christmas advent calendar, with each part of the board labelled with a range of different numbers and shapes. The ingenious thing here is that the board features these numbered tiles that flip over to reveal NPCs to talk to, items of significance, places of importance, as well as transport vehicles that can help transport players around the board like some sort of Disneyland train ride. The board is ultimately like a footprint in the sand. Every action that you take on the board is remembered and saved like a Pokemon game. Talk to the witch in the woods and she disappears. Ride the boat down the river and appear in the village. Find a shortcut and it stays there forever, ingrained in your memory like a postage stamp. And this is what is so utterly delightful about Robin Hood. Throughout each and every chapter, players are free to explore wherever they like across the game board map, uncovering different narrative choices, narrative threads, and even developing their own character arcs. I think the completionist me just had a really super fun time searching through all the tiles, talking to all the characters, hoping to find a clue that would help to solve the mystery. Looks like it's just an average plant pot. Or is it? Navigating the board is determined by these little meeple rulers. Let's just call them mulers for now. As a player moves their character across the board, they use these rulers to get from destination A to B, just like in a game of Warhammer. As players trek across the board, players will have to avoid trees, boulders, and look, people. Only if you want to suck information from them, of course. The board also has dark areas and light areas. Because Robin Hood and his peeps are considered outlaws, they prefer to stay in the shadows. Like a game of Assassin's Creed, any player who ends their movement in a lit up area may be at risk of being caught by a guard if they are nearby. This creates an interesting level of tension throughout the game. As players move around the board and creep from location to location, if players avoid using their long movement ruler and only use their short movement ruler, they get to place these cool white cubes into the bag. And what goes in this bag, you might ask? Well, several different three-dimensional wooden shapes. First of all, these coloured player discs represents the different characters and the different players in the game. They get placed into the bag, and each and every turn, if you draw out a disc, if it's your colour, it's your turn, providing for some unexpected turn orders and turn sequences in the game. The other thing that gets placed in the bag are these seals. These seals are responsible for raising the threat level, as well as causing the carriages in the forest to return to the castle. They also are pretty bad at making you lose a lot of hope as well. Into the bag it goes. So, what do these wooden cubes actually do? Well, the white cubes are good, the purple cubes are bad. And that's all you need to know for now. And I think that just about covers everything. The turn order in the game is determined by these coloured discs. At the beginning of each turn, a player will draw a disc from the bag like some sort of lucky dip. If it's a green disc, it's Robin Hood's turn. If it's yellow, it's Maid Marian's. What is really innovative here is the idea that the turn order will be different every single time. There are also other discs that provide other abilities. Drawing a grey disc provides the group with the option of giving any player in their party a bonus turn. Additionally, the white disc allows all players to have another turn in the order that they choose. Very collaborative, don't you think? Now, not everything is peachy in Sherwood Forest, because if players ever draw the purple disc from this black bag, they have to move the Guy of Gisborne. And he basically chases players around the board, and whoever he's closest to, if he touches them, he causes that player to lose one of their movement rulers, which would be absolutely devastating. Oh man, that last job was great. Let's see what loot I got. What the? I see, Robin, we meet again. You've been caught red-handed. Hand over the ruler, now. Sure. I think those days of you robbing from the rich and giving to the poor are gonna be slower from here on out. Back to creeping around. Drawing a purple disc also means that a purple cube is placed into the bag for each and every character that's still left out on the game board. This kind of creates a balancing effect to ensure that the composition of white cubes to purple cubes in the bag remains relatively steady. Drawing the red disc is pretty nasty. It's like getting a really bad Kris Kringle present. It's like a dried up raspberry shriveled in the sun and leaving a really bad taste in your mouth. The red disc in this game causes hope to be lost, carriages to disappear from the forest and reappear in the castle. It causes a new red seal to be drawn from the bag, revealing new guards and noblemen on the board. It also causes players to lose a red hourglass to be taken off the track, and one additional hourglass if hope is at 0. The red disc acts like a sand timer, sending ripples and waves through Sherwood Forest. Determining a winner in combat in board games is like tossing 2 dice into the air and seeing what number is the biggest. Wait a minute. In Robin Hood, players encounter a fight when their figure touches a guard or nobleman, or if they have a bow and arrow and they can use this really pointy wooden arrow to shoot and poke at them from a distance. To fight, players will draw 3 cubes from the bag, and if one of them contains a white cube, that guard or nobleman is defeated. If not, the guard lives on, wreaking more havoc. Whilst the cube drawing bag mechanic might seem like a complete lottery or luck fest, or like you've entered a meat raffle at your local club, there is a little bit of a way to mitigate some of the luck factor that occurs in this game. First of all, if players spend a lot more time creeping from location to location, they'll increase the proportion and percentage of white cubes that are placed into the bag, thereby increasing their percentage of winning on future rounds. The other thing that players can do is that they'll acquire special abilities and weapons that allows them to draw extra cubes on their turn if they possess them. So ultimately, players do have the power to control their fate over the game. It keeps the game feeling balanced, tense, while staying true to the Robin Hood theme. Hey, I'm back from the supermarket. I just got some healthy greens for tonight's game night. The best way to play Robin Hood is with all 4 characters. You get a richer experience and get to see each character's story arc grow, evolve, and develop and unfold like this very game board. Literally, I'm folding this game up as I speak. When players speak to a character or investigate a region in the board, players will look up the number of the tile in this narrative book. This will often provide players with a story choice, whether it be finding a way into the castle, delivering a chest, or even saving someone who is being kidnapped. There is a high level of immersion, freedom, and openness to the storytelling that flows throughout this game. It's like opening a fresh box of cereal, where each ingredient is a different taste from the world, allowing you to dabble in every feeling and emotion it brings to the table. Robin Hood is a delightful game that has all the dressings of a classic storybook adventure. The game truly lavishes players with trinkets as well as little slices from the Robin Hood story and legend. The game often feels like a point-and-click adventure, a choose-your-own-adventure story, as well as an open-world video game, all amalgamated into one. It provides for a really physical, immersive, and multifaceted board game experience. The experience of playing The Adventures of Robin Hood is like eating a box of assorted chocolates. There are some flavors you just want to savor and eat again and again, and there are others that you're happy to give away to somebody else. Where the game truly excels is in the area of being able to provide players with the freedom to explore, to give them the choice of going wherever they wish. If they want to talk to someone further down on the board or take a boat to the village, they can. If they want to explore a tree or look for a hideout, they can. This game provides players with a multitude of different open-ended options and places to visit and secrets to uncover. And I love some of the cool story twists that this game does provide for players, which kind of keeps you motivated to try and complete all 9 campaigns. There's even a branching campaign where if you choose a particular path, you go down a side scenario. In addition to that, if you fail a campaign, you can play the same campaign again, but there's a version 2 of the game that is represented by this little shield. If you're playing version 2, it'll have the same sort of goal, but the ideas and clues will be in different places, meaning that you can't memorize everything that you've just seen. Whilst I really enjoy a lot of the story elements in this game, there are some limitations to the mechanics that I find into how this game operates, and it does come down to how you want to play this game. The movement rules in the game can feel a little bit ambiguous and probably a little bit inaccurate at times. As you move across the board, if your character doesn't touch an item of significance or doesn't touch a particular location or is just falls short of it, I tended to house rule that if I was close enough, I just resolve it straight away rather than waiting a whole nother round before it was my turn again to control that player. I feel like a lot of what drives this game is the story, and being really fussy about how close you are to a particular location kind of detracts from the enjoyment factor of the game, and I felt that if you kind of oversaw that, it made the game feel a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, and kept the pace of the game going a lot more faster. I also felt there was a huge luck element to the game. I think there was one scenario where you had to draw 3 white cubes in a row, and if you hadn't been sneaking around the board prior to that, it would have been almost really difficult to win. And finally, if you're playing with one person controlling a character at a time, I find that sometimes on your turn, all you'd be doing is moving your character and placing a white cube in your bag if you didn't even use your long movement ruler. And sometimes that can be a little bit boring, a little bit uninspiring, and not allow you to develop your character or give them some sort of strategy. So I found that the best way to approach this game is to either play it solo by controlling all 4 characters or having 2 players and controlling 2 characters each. So I hope something in this review video piqued your interest about The Adventures of Robin Hood, and consider checking it out at your game night or considering adding it to your board game collection one day. I really enjoyed making this video, and if you really enjoyed the comedy and some of the skits and some of the ideas that were presented, please consider giving me a like. If you really want to see more content from Board Game Sanctuary, then hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, thank you once again for joining me for another Board Game Sanctuary review. Don't forget to head over to my Patreon page and Facebook page to get all the latest behind the scenes news and updates. And I think I'm going to make a cup of coffee, sit back and relax and watch Mel Brooks' Men in Tights. That's a pretty good movie. See you guys soon. Goodbye.